I'm in Boxeo Mundial here with world-class trainer Kim Porter. We're here at your gym, the Porter High Performance Center. We just got the official word yesterday. Shawn fighting Danny Garcia. It seemed like it took a little bit longer for this fight to come together than we thought at first, but what are your initial thoughts that it's official?
First of all, Porter Hot Performance Center, because it is hot in here. Yeah, come on down here if y'all want to get this heat. You know, boxing is not what everybody thinks it is in terms of the business of it and things that go on behind the scenes. You know, people think a guy says, hey, I'll fight you, and another guy says, I'll fight you too, and then that's done. And that's far from it. It was a long way, you know, for things to get taken care of. And there's still a lot to do, but we're closer to, you know, getting that done than we were before. So it just took time.
And they first were mentioning, I think it was August 25th, and now it's September 8th. It's only 2 weeks difference. But what do you think about just the timing of the fight itself?
That's how boxing is. When they call, you got to be ready. So, you know, fortunately for us, we have been working, and we have been doing a lot of things. And, you know, we're just going to crank it up, you know, as the announcement was yesterday. Then I started cranking it up yesterday, and we'll continue to crank it. I cranked it some more this morning. This is our second workout of the day.
Obviously, it's Shawn and Danny fighting, but we know that Angel likes to talk a lot. What do you think about your counterpart or adversary over there in the other corner?
There's really nothing to think about at all. As I said to somebody the other day in one of the interviews, you know, I had rivals in the amateurs that I went up against, guys that are very known now on the professional level. My chief rival was Nazim Risperson. That was the biggest rival I had in the amateurs as far as coaching. You know, I had other guys that was mentors to me, Virgil Hunter, and I had other guys that were actually, you know, coaches, and we coached together nationally and internationally, like Barry Hunter. Angel was never around. We never saw Angel. This wasn't a guy that was in our quad. This wasn't a guy that we went up against. So he was non-existent then. There's nothing more now to me. He's got a kid that can fight, and the fighter's a great fighter, but the father has never been existent, you know, on my radar. He was never someone that sat in any of the courses that I took. He was never someone that was on the international teams that I went up against or international competitions. So, you know, that's not something I'm concerned with at all.
And the fight itself, I mean, Danny's a great fighter, like you mentioned. He's, you know, won titles, 2 different divisions. But even against Rios, he was a huge favorite, and Rios had a lot of success in that fight until he got caught and ultimately stopped. What do you think of just where he's at now at 147 and what your son brings to the table?
You know what? He's always been, you know, a guy that could fight at 147. He was just going down to a lower weight class so that he could have advantages, and those advantages he took advantage of. And now that he's moved up to 147, I think, you know, they've said cherry picker for a reason. He's picked the guys that, you know, he thought he could do well against. I'm quite sure you would know what would happen to a guy like a Rod Salker if he had ever gotten in the ring with Shawn Porter. A Brandon Rios if he had ever gotten in the ring with a Shawn Porter. We know what happened when Paulie Malignaggi got in the ring with Shawn Porter. We know what happened when Shawn Porter and Keith Thurman were in the ring, and then, you know, you had to stand on your feet the whole entire night, and then Keith gets in the ring with Danny and literally says, hey, Danny, you can't touch me because your feet don't work. And Danny couldn't touch him. So they're booing that fight by the 4th or 5th round. Be real about what you really can do. So, you know, the only thing that matters is on fight night what happens. But, you know, if you look at some of those same instances where we're dealing with those same guys, if we're in those situations with those guys, we're not having this kind of conversation, because I think that, you know, those type of guys that we just named, they wouldn't have been able to compete with Shawn.
Even like Mauricio Ferreira, a lot of people thought he beat Danny Garcia in that fight.
Yeah, I was one of those people. I saw the fight. You know, the fight was in Puerto Rico, and the Puerto Ricans booed it. You know, I talked to somebody from Puerto Rico the other day. Literally was speaking to someone from Puerto Rico, and you know, she said, "Yeah, you got a big fight coming up." I said, "Yeah, we're fighting a Puerto Rican kid." She said, "He ain't Puerto Rican." That's what she said. Yeah. She said, "He ain't Puerto Rican." I said, "Well, his dad is." She said, "Well, his dad is."
Wow.
You know, so that's how they feel about it. So it's up to us to go out there and do what we have to do. Talking about it ain't gonna work. We have to actually, you know, the only thing that matters is when we get in the ring on fight night, what happens in those 3 minutes, or less, you know, those 12 rounds or less. And so that's what we plan on doing. We plan on letting it all hang out there. For us, you know, it's do or die. So unless he's prepared to kill us, which we are prepared to do that to him, you know, he's going to have to come with another game plan on top of that game plan, because the one he used against Keith, that ain't going to work against us. The one he used against Rios, that's definitely not going to work. You know, nothing against Rios, but, you know, he had been, you know, he'd been out of his prime for a number of years. So that's where we're at with it.
So most fighters will have a fight here and there where they're not fighting the best. Overall, looking at his competition, then, you do think he has cherry-picked throughout his career? And also, do you think the fight with Shawn then would help him remove that label then? Because he will be fighting the best versus the best in this fight, no?
Oh, yeah, definitely. This will be the best fight. This will be the best fight. You know, the fight that he had against Keith Thurman, it was lackluster. That was my eyes. I was sitting there. I was sitting front row. You know, it left a lot to be desired. And when Keith figured out that the guy couldn't catch up to him, couldn't cut the ring off, it became an easy night for Keith. Do I blame Keith for deciding to, you know, move around the rest of the fight? No, I do not. Because it became an easy night for him. And if you can get your money and you can leave without getting scarred up, busted up, you know, take your money and go. Yeah, we definitely that litmus test for him, and we're gonna press his ass to that limit. And you know, it's up to the referee or the doctor or the dad to make a decision, and we're gonna force that decision. Okay. That's my intent.
And I read where he was saying he wants to fight your son in the middle of the ring.
I hope he wants to fight Shawn in the middle of the ring. If you think he can pull that shit off, good luck with that shit. But we're going to make you have to move them feet, and you're going to have to fight this. There's a lot of shit you got to deal with. It ain't going to be just fight in the middle. You're going to fight in the middle. You're going to fight in the corner. You're going to fight on the ropes. You're going to fight all the way back to the goddamn locker room if you're messing with us. So that's how it goes. You know what I mean? When that bell rings with us, there's no stopping. So it's a lot of fighting going on.
Yeah. So that's just your son. But it seems like you also feel you have more weapons that you can employ throughout the fight then.
Listen, man, the kid got a gun on each side. You know, he got one in his waistband. He gonna go in his sock and pull out a razor. You know, and as far as that dumb shit that Danny talking about, oh, Shawn cut Caesar, I'm gonna cut him. Danny, I'm gonna cut Shawn before he go to the ring. You ain't gotta worry about that. It's already taken care of.
And it seems like there is already a little rivalry in this fight. Is that just because, like Shawn said, how many years have I been asking for this fight?
At least 3.
And it finally is happening.
At least 3.
Like, it seems like it's more that side that, like you said, the cherry picking. They didn't want that fight before.
It's absolutely hilarious that he comes out with something that said, you got what you asked for. Well, damn. How long did we have to ask for it? I mean, I know you guys can remember interviews where he was standing like in a doorway of a hotel or something like, I just moved in one morning, Sam, and why they bothering me? Why they calling my name? I just got here. What the hell? You here to fight. You came here, fight someone. You know what I mean? So, you know, it is what it is. I mean, there's probably somebody who can look at Shawn's record and say the same thing about us. But the one thing you're not going to be able to do is, on fight night, be able to say we ain't fighting, because we bringing it on fight night. That's going to happen.
When you guys have consistently fought the best guys, I mean, everyone has a fight here and there, but for the most part, I mean, if you go back and you guys, if you review the resume.
There's been a time when somebody didn't make weight, got sick or something, and they had to throw Bonet in there when the guy didn't make, you know, the day before the fight or something like that. There'd be another time when, you know, somebody had to pull out of a fight. But, you know, Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Errol Spence, Bud Crawford, that's it, that's all. That's all we want to do. We don't want to fight nobody else. There's nobody else we want to fight. We just want to fight those guys. And then the little guys that sit behind the computer at home, oh, you heard what he said. Now that's going to give y'all something to write about. But it is what it is. That's who we want to fight. You can say whatever you want to say about it. But the reality of the situation is none of those guys can even catch the flight to get to the fight, to purchase the ticket, to get down on the floor where I'm sitting at, to come along over to me and say, oh, I don't like what you said, or I heard what you said. None of them are going to get there. I'll see you guys at the fight, but I won't see those guys at the fight. So the only ones that really matter to me, the ones that actually can get to the fight. You know what I mean? You know what? It is what it is from that standpoint. But looking forward to this fight on a lot of different levels. Shawn wants to be WBC champion. He's all about this green belt. I'm all about, you know, winning and being competitive, and after that moving on to the next one. So the questions that will be asked is who we want to fight next. We got to get past Danny first.
Do you think if there wasn't a title involved, then he would still be avoiding it?
Absolutely.
Because it's a great fight no matter with the title or no
He
title,
wanted nothing to do with this fight. You know what I'm saying? He got more opportunities to take this fight with Shawn, and he made up more shit. I thought Berto was the one that really didn't want to take a fight with Shawn. We had to give him a phone call on the FaceTime while he was in the toilet. And we knew he didn't want to do it. And then you see why.
Did you see his recent comments?
No.
Where he was saying, what did he say? That Shawn, like, wrestled him, or he made excuses.
You know what? He's full of shit. Go back and look at any clips where Andre Berto has his head pointed in a spear, putting it into Shawn's eye. If you look at Shawn's cuts are on his eye. So who uses their eye to headbutt you? It's just total bullshit that people start running their mouth and saying things, and then the other people, they just repeat what they're hearing. But if you go back and look at any point in time when it happens, why does Andre Berto not have any cuts here, but Shawn's got the cuts on his eyes? Because Berto is using his head. Berto knew he was using his head. He wanted to try to do anything he could to win.
Just excuses and sour milk.
Of course it's excuses, because, you know, you had every opportunity tonight to do whatever you wanted to do. You know, it just, you know, he couldn't do that. So, you know, we're looking at Malignaggi. We looking at Andre Berto. Those are the type of situations that we're looking to do to Danny Garcia's ass. Get Malignaggi'd or Berto'd. Take your pick.
Okay.
Well, shoot, man, that's a heck of an interview. We're looking forward to a heck of a fight. What else do you want to tell all the fans out there in closing? September 8th, Barclays.
It can't get here soon enough. That's it. It can't get here soon enough. You know what I mean? Because we could talk about it, but the only thing is to be about it. You know what I mean? So the dads can say what they want to say, the coaches can say what they want to say, ring the goddamn bell, and let the boys fight.
All right, man, we look forward to seeing it. Thank you.
And if you like this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to our channel, Boxeo Mundial, la meca del boxeo y MMA.